Welcome to Welcome to Geek Zone Wrestling.
Is that a new show that we're doing?
I
Geek bo bo bo
guess.
bo 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 bo.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a new show we're doing. Geek Zone Wrestling, a show
Wow.
by wrestling fans who just want to talk about wrestling. Well, at least this intro was entertaining.
If nothing else.
Speaking of entertaining, King of the Ring
King of the Ring. Yeah.
and Queen of the Ring.
And Queen of the Ring, yes.
Very entertaining in the aspect of how Liv Morgan captured the Women's World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. If you haven't watched it yet, it's worth a watch. And chances are it's already been spoiled if you haven't. But at any rate, yeah, I was watching the whole PLE and it was extremely entertaining. Like toward the end of the match, you see Becky has Liv in the disarmor, and she keeps looking over to the corner, and all of a sudden they pan over, and there's Dom,
Dirty. Dirty Dom.
Dirty Dom, and he's coming out, through where the announce tables are, and it was somewhat expected, but still somewhat surprising, especially in the fact that when he grabbed the chair, he threw it into Becky as though he was, trying to get her to use the chair to beat Liv. And Becky, of course, didn't want anything to do with it. And then Liv capitalized.
DDT'd her right on it.
Yep, and then hit Oblivion for the win after she threw the chair out of the ring. Actually, she didn't quite get it out of the ring.
No, it was on. It was like right
Yeah, it was
on,
right on the
half in the
apron.
apron, half in the ring.
And if I'm not mistaken, Dom grabbed it.
But the referee didn't even look in that direction. So, I mean, the ref played it off as if oh, I didn't see it.
Right, right.
She did her job well. She didn't even look in that direction just in case. She may have even seen it out of the corner of her eye. Who knows?
Yeah, I have no clue. It
We'll just
didn't.
have to live with it.
Oh my God.
Don't lynch me.
Don't do any Morgan of those jokes.
Well, I'll do Morgan.
But yeah, it was a very entertaining show. The match itself was fantastic. I think Liv and Becky did a great job, and Liv absolutely deserved it. I've been hoping that she'd win the title for a while. I was kind of hoping that she would have won it at the last PLE, but we know how that ended, and it was only a matter of time. And now I feel like they're going to run with this whole Liv taking everything from Rhea's storyline, including the Judgment Day. I think she's going to end up either in the Judgment Day or taking Dom from the Judgment Day.
And taking Judgment Day down.
Yeah. So I feel like that is kind of almost an inevitable storyline that we're going to get. How do you feel about that?
I love it. I wanted Liv to get the title when Rhea got hurt. I know a lot of people wanted her to win it like right then and there, but I kind of agreed with it going to Becky just because when Liv won it, it means more because she beat a bona fide star to get it.
Well, I mean, she would have beaten several bona fide stars to have gotten it.
Yeah, but a battle royal is not the same as
Yeah,
I pinned you 1, 2, 3 or I made you tap.
yeah, this is true. It is very different beast.
And I don't want to say it's good that Rhea got hurt, but it works out in this way that she did because instead of Liv just beating her and taking the title, this way, while Rhea's gone, she can, go in and either assert control of or dismantle the Judgment Day, Rhea's family,
Right.
quote unquote. Take her, you know, boy toy.
Yeah, that's kind of what he's been played out as.
Like they kind of insinuate that they're in a relationship, but he calls her mommy, sort of as if like it's just like
Well, no, 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 no. That's the Spanish thing or the Mexican thing going on because if you recall, Eddie Guerrero called China mommy, mamacita.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It was they're like replaying that gimmick.
Yeah,
That's why I'm saying it's implied. They
yeah,
never officially stated that they're in a relationship, but it is basically like they're involved.
right.
Like I do have to say though, she may be hurt, but it didn't stop Buddy Matthews from posting a picture of him laying on her ass and saying life is peachy. So even injured, she's still stealing spotlight. But
Yeah. So that wasn't the only thing that happened at King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring, obviously.
I was about to lead into her SummerSlam challenger,
Yeah, go for it.
Queen Nia,
Yeah. Nia Jax winning the Queen of the Ring.
which I immediately got feeling nauseous and had diarrhea.
You were that jaxed up, huh?
Yes,
So,
I wanted Lyra Valkyria because of the backstage interaction between Liv and Lyra. I don't know if it was last week or the week before. They were backstage, and Lyra was doing it. It was hey, how does it feel being on Raw? Yada yada yada. And Liv comes up, blah blah blah, bad mouths Becky. Lyra's like, well, you can ask Becky yourself, whatever. Becky slaps Liv. Typical
yeah.
backstage promo. But because the two of them, it seemed like it would be perfect to have Lyra win, go on to face Liv for title. It seemed where everything was pointing. But no, they're going to have Nia win, and that means at SummerSlam, Liv's probably going to get hurt again
So I'll
because
be honest.
Nia's going to, go out there and, injure yet another person.
I'll be honest. I was completely shocked that Lyra was even in the Queen of the Ring. I was assuming because they were going to put her over as a force to be reckoned with, since she just came out of NXT, and and I thought, hey, you know what? Maybe they will let her win the Queen. Just because she's new to the roster, it makes her relevant. It makes her, seem like a force to be reckoned with. But at the same time, I did not actually expect her to even get out of the first round. I really didn't. Uh,
Well, I mean, I at first I didn't either,
when
but then when she was in the finals, and I'm sitting there thinking, she beat Becky Lynch for the NXT Women's Title. She had that interaction with Liv backstage. No matter who comes out as champion, she has a storyline to go with.
Yeah.
So I didn't see any reason for her to lose other than, hey, I bet you're all expecting this to happen. Psych.
Well, I was expecting Belair, to be honest. I was expecting Belair to come in and win Queen of the Ring. She just dropped a title. Yes, she does have the tag team titles, but at the same time, they have pushed Belair to unimaginable heights so far. And
But to be fair, you know,
I'm not saying she's not talented and doesn't deserve it or anything like that. All I'm saying is that they have pushed her into everything else, and I feel like between her and Jade, they're trying to push them as this dominant force in the women's division.
two-woman power trip.
Yeah. So I felt like, what better way to continue promoting that angle than to give Belair the Queen of the Ring and a world title shot at SummerSlam That gives them some time to mesh out what's going to happen with the world title scene there. And then, SummerSlam, Belair, she gets a shot. Whether she wins or loses, I was halfway expecting her to come out SummerSlam champ.
I mean, I don't know. I still think if you gave her the title, that not like the championship, but the Queen of the Ring,
Uh huh.
then you're booking yourself into a hole because you're going to have either Bianca Belair participating in multiple matches, or you have a title that isn't defended on a paper or on a premium live event.
Right, but if you look at history, they haven't always had every single title on every single PLE.
Well, but I'm saying, like, it's going to, like I said, book yourself into a corner, because if you want to put that on the show, then you're like, well, we've already worked up on the world title. We can't do the tag, so we're going to have to relegate that down to SmackDown or Raw.
Or you give Jade something else to do. Some
Like Brandon Phillips.
some some rivalry that pops up in the next month or so, and then you throw that into the SummerSlam as a heated battle.
Well, see, the funny thing is, I think it was Nia Jax even was. I think it was Jade Cargill's daughter, and Nia was like saying, your mom sucks or something like that.
See, so that would have been a perfect outlet.
But
Nia versus
I don't even
Jade.
think they're on the same show.
Doesn't matter. If it's a rivalry,
Well,
it's a
wait a second.
rivalry.
If Nia's on SmackDown, that means she's facing Bayley, not Liv.
Right.
Ooh. So, in other words, Lyra might still be able to go after Liv.
It's a possibility. I don't see them doing that, though, because if they throw her in with Liv, I feel like that's going to squash everything that she's done up to this point, and it's going to make her look like, another jobber. And that could very easily lead to her being stuck in the mid card.
Fair point. Um,
Kind of like what they did with Shinsuke. Give him a world title shot, he loses, and then he's stuck in the mid card for the rest of his life.
I wouldn't necessarily say he's mid card
He is.
as much as, I mean, he's just been so sporadic. I don't even consider him a mid card. I consider him like a odd jobber.
A cameo.
Yeah. The Prince of Sometime style.
He's the reborn version of Al Snow.
Shinsuke is more over than Al Snow.
He is, but I mean, he's the reinvented jobber, and it's sad because he is so talented.
If he starts going around with the severed head,
what does everybody want?
see, the problem I have with Shinsuke is just the fact of I can't take him seriously in some of his matches because I don't want to say he's not trying, but he'll be doing a match and it's like it doesn't seem like he's really putting everything into it. I it may just look like that because of the move he's doing.
I
But
feel
like
like
some of his kicks, it seems like they're so slow, and he may be doing that so he doesn't accidentally kick someone in the head, But it's just
yeah, they are supposed to do it safely.
it's one of those things where, like, if I notice it, probably a lot of other people probably notice it,
Oh, I'm sure.
which I'm thinking is probably why he hasn't gone up and up and up into the stardom that it was expected
But see, I have a
because people.
problem with that because I mean, prior to all of these recent,
But I do miss him. Well, I miss his music.
yeah, that's exactly the point I was getting to. Prior to all of these out of country PLEs, he was the first one that had people singing his song for him. And then Seth Rollins picked that up.
Um, my thing with Shinsuke Nakamura is he was always, I hate to borrow the word, but enigmatic. And it's really difficult to not want that. And I know I just said, it's hard for me to take him seriously as a world champion, like, main event player full time. But I would love to see him go against Cody Rhodes. I would have loved to see him, like face off against the, I don't want to say the Seth Rollins because I mean we did, but like the what's his name?
Who are we talking about?
Damian Priest.
Oh, yeah, the
I kept
current.
wanting to say the Judgment Day.
Yeah,
I would have loved
Damien.
to see the two of them go. I mean, I guess I technically still could.
Is it not possible, though, that the reason that you have a hard time seeing him as a serious world champion is because they've never done it for him? They've never given him the title and given him a run to make him believable as a world champion. Because there are guys that have had that belt that I don't think should have ever had it.
Oh no, I agree with you on that. I do, and like I said, I feel like there are other guys. I feel like he would put on good matches with them, like especially the guys like Cody or even Damian Priest, because give it. I'm a little reluctant on Damian Priest because of his size, but the guy is athletic.
He is.
Like, and Shinsuke's style is very different from a lot of guys.
Well, he's the king of hard style.
Strong style.
Yeah, that.
But I think Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest could both put on great matches with him.
I do too.
I don't. You may be right. It may be because he hasn't had a long title run, but
He hasn't had a title run.
he had Intercontinental.
He had Intercontinental. He never had a world title. And the world title is the one that that I am saying I think he deserved. I think he should have had. I think he should have beaten AJ for it. I'll be honest. I don't think AJ should have beat him. And I think if he'd have had that title run, he'd have had the opportunity to develop himself as a world champion. And I think if they booked him right through that, he could have shown to have been a very, very formidable world champion.
Okay, if he did that, maybe I'm wrong. I could have been like, you know what? All right, I see this.
I could see very easily them putting the strap on him and then, turning him into a quasi what the hell is the name of the mafia in Japan?
The Yakuza?
Yeah, hit that type of thing where he comes in a suit and he's all he's like the mastermind, the lead mafia head honcho.
I actually like that idea.
I think that would have been a phenomenal world champion heel.
Damn. Well, okay. I can see a world champion now. Something I didn't actually think I would ever I think there's a big personality barrier because he speaks very little English
Yeah, it's very broken, and
over
it's.
the promos.
But here's the thing: you give him a manager slash translator.
Mr. Fumin?
I don't care who it is,
Like a combination of Mr. Fuji and Paul Heyman? Mr. Fuman?
something like that. Whatever. I don't care who it is, but you give him someone that can talk on the mic and be.
Funaki.
Sure. Why the heck not? I loved Funaki. Have him be the translator. Have him in suit
Kung
with the
Funaki.
fedora on, shades, and he is now
John Cena.
and now he is Shinsuke's manager slash translator, and he's the one. Shinsuke talks to him, and he talks to the mic.
Nah, Michinoku. He's broken.
Yeah, he is broken.
Okay, so we're getting a little away from King of the Ring.
We are. There's so much to unpack.
However, speaking of Shinsuke Nakamura, we can then go into he had an Intercontinental title run.
Yes.
Which, funny enough, was around the same time that Sami Zayn had his last one.
Correct.
During the whole COVID era. So, Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable versus Big Bronson Reed. He is a big man.
Bronson Reed.
So, you watched live.
Yes.
I had to watch, like the highlights and everything because I was at work while all this was going on. That match was fantastic. It was absolutely wonderful. I had the same concern that you did, that Bronson would kind of bring the match down, but he really didn't. He had his role to play, and one of the things, it's all on the person's ability to work with the other people's strengths.
Yeah.
And the other people's ability to work with theirs. And everyone's ability to kind of make the weaknesses not matter.
Right. And there were a couple of spots in this match where Sami tried to lift Bronson Reed and like German suplex
What,
him.
Does he think he's the Hurricane?
It was very Cena-esque, because in the as things started progressing later in the match, he actually did get him up and drop him, and that was a huge pop in the crowd. It was a huge pop for me. And then there was another spot where Sami was in the ring. Bronson came up behind him to grab him for a German suplex.
And let me guess, Chad came up suplexed both of them.
He came up behind him and grabbed him like he was going to. Then Sami came around, broke out of it, and grabbed Chad Gable. And then Bronson came back around, and then Chad came back around, and Chad actually did German suplex both of them at the same time, which was an amazing moment. It was absolutely fantastic. It was wonderfully done. And the whole time I'm Otis is out at ringside. Gable came out and sent Dupree back and brought Otis with him. And the whole time I'm sitting here through this match, Otis.
Did he turn on him?
Not exactly. So toward the end of the match, Zayn gets thrown out of the ring. Chad goes out, or before Chad got out, Otis took out Bronson Reed, like laid him out. And then Gable came over to the ropes, and he was like, now do the same thing to him. And Otis hesitated. And he hesitated. And he hesitated again. And Chad jumped out of the ring and started yelling at him. And he picked up Sami and held Sami for Otis to hit him. And Otis starts running in, and he stops right before he gets there. He turns around, and he's like, you can see he's struggling within himself about this. Chad throws Sammy down and starts just screaming at Otis, pushes him. What is he, your best friend now? You listen to your coach, and then smacks him in the face. And then he goes back and he picks up Sammy. He says, now hit him. And Otis charges up. He runs in, and Sammy moves out of the way. And Otis levels Chad. Chad gets, ends up back in the ring. Sammy ends up in the ring. Haluva kick for the win. It was a wonderful, wonderful match. And Bronson Reed did not bring the match down. He actually, I feel like he added a little something to it.
Well, because he has limited athleticism, but for a guy his size,
yeah,
he's in there with like Keith Lee and Ivar as guys who are unexpectedly nimble for a guy that looks like he's a whale.
Yeah,
and I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, the guy's big. I'm sorry, I can't sugarcoat that.
Yeah, there's no way to sugarcoat it.
But whales are very big animals that are often majestic.
And typically the bigger guys are slow power guys.
Yes. But the reason I used whale in this case is because with their nimble athleticism, they have a sense of grace and majesty to them. I meant that as a compliment. It just, as soon as I said it, I heard it, and I'm like, well, okay, that sounds far worse than I meant for it.
Well, it kind of turns him into a killer whale as opposed to, a docile one.
No, but I mean, it's still, it works for his character.
It does.
He's a heel.
It does. It does. It really works for him. And it worked for him in this match. Although I will admit, the absolute highlights of the match were Chad Gable, Sami Zayn, and Otis. That was the story.
Okay. Otis has immense comedy chops. Chad Gable has as much athleticism as Otis has comedy, and Sami Zayn has the perfect mixture of both.
Yeah.
So you put the three of them together, it's comedic gold.
Yes.
Gable may not have the
personality.
He has some.
He has some.
He's not like.
I'll be honest. I'm impressed with him as a heel. He has a heel personality. He does not have a very good babyface personality.
Well, and it's something that he's working on. They never really gave him a chance to shine. He was mostly a tag team or groupie.
Yeah.
So he's never really been a focus of attention all that much. It's always been a group effort. So this is kind of putting him on the forefront. But he was always like comedic characters. Not back when he was American Alpha. Then he was legit, I'm a premier athlete.
Yeah.
I am the second coming of the world's greatest tag team. And then he paired with Kurt Angle and was, hey, we literally fused American Alpha and the world's greatest tag team to create, the world's alpha tag team. I mean, he was a tag team guy.
He was.
And then they did the whole Shorty G thing. And he made that work somehow. It wasn't, I'm not going to sit here and say that was a highlight.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest thing in
but
WWE.
But they gave him crap, and he made it stay on television.
He fueled it.
Yeah. So while he's not a high-level promo guy, he has enough personality that he can hang.
Yeah.
And he has unreal gifts for athleticism. I mean, he's quick, strong, and agile. It's hard to be all three.
It is. And he does have all three of those working for him.
He's got all the speed and agility of Sammy, but with added power.
Yes.
So what he lacks in personality, he makes up for in that power. Sammy is one of the most well-rounded guys in WWE right now.
Mm-hmm. As
You
far
know,
as I'm concerned, I think he is very, very underestimated. He's underutilized.
and like Otis, obviously he has the strength, he has the humor, he has, like with the caterpillar. It's like somebody mixed Scotty 2 Hotty with Typhoon.
I love that analogy.
Like
That's exactly right.
Scotty Typhoon or Typhoon Hottie. Oh my crap. That's like a heat hurricane. But anyway, that shouldn't work. But he makes it work.
He does. He
And he's like,
does.
oh yeah. It's like I don't understand this.
I will be completely
Who
honest.
took Macho Man Randy Savage and put him with Rikishi and made him like freaking Grandmaster Sexay? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Well, I'll be honest. I was really, really disappointed when they dropped the Money in the Bank briefcase on him and did nothing with it.
Except for have him lose it.
Right.
Now,
I think they should have let him cash in. Even if he didn't win, I think he should have been allowed to cash it in and at least attempt.
see, I think I agree with you on that, but having him lose it to the Miz made a perfect transitional champion.
He did. He did.
So
Not taking anything away from the Miz.
that I think was a bit of a benefit because you didn't see Otis get Kofi'd.
No, but at the same time, I feel like they could have had Otis cash in, lose, and then Miz steps in and he could then win it from there and everything plays out as it has.
But yeah, no, I felt like that match honestly was probably the one I thought was going to be the best. Cody and Logan Paul was, in my opinion, going to be the second because, again, there's a lot of athleticism, but those four guys, it's setting up for some pretty epic.
Yeah, they are setting up for a very, very epic showdown. Uh, I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. But before we get into Cody and Logan, uh, I think we ought to talk about the kickoff, the starting match, Cargill and Belair.
Versus the Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae.
Right, and the rumor was that they were going to split up Candice and Indy, and
Well,
that
there was also a rumor that they were going to turn Indy heel like they did Candice.
right, and that did not pan out. Cargill and Belair put on, the type of show that you'd expect from them.
Dominant.
Yeah, I don't think the other two had anything on either of them, and it went exactly the way that was expected. They're really pushing Belair and Cargill as a dominant force, and they actually worked really, really well as a tag team. They didn't do either of their natural finishers. They
You want
put
to know
together
why?
this tag team move. Go for it.
Look at them. They are both extremely muscular but highly athletic women.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you literally on WWE.com, you look at superstars, you go down the tag team, you have them next to each other. It's like, damn, each
Pretty much
one
the same person.
each one of them has just one arm that's more muscular than me.
Right?
I mean, obviously, compared to me, who's the skinniest?
That'd be me.
No, I mean in WWE. To me, like you put me next to Dirty Dom, he's going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was on roids. Like compared to me, he's going to look like Brock Lesnar. John Cena, The Rock. He's going to look like this huge muscular guy because I am not. So it's easy to say, hey, they look huge, but they have the physical prowess to be, the female power trip.
Yeah,
They do.
yeah, and they absolutely showed that. Um Hartwell and LeRae just there was no way that they were going to win. It was obvious from the very, very start. And I mean, the match was, in my opinion, a complete squash. It didn't play out that way in the ring, but it felt like that. So there were absolutely no surprises in that match at all, other than the fact that uh, the two of them were actually well rehearsed as a tag team, along with the tag team finisher they used. I forget what they called it. It was some weird name, Ocean something or something Ocean. I don't know, but uh, yeah, that match was like I'll be honest. They could have scratched that match from the card, and it wouldn't have hurt me none. It would have been a shame not seeing Cargill and Belair do their thing, but it was probably the biggest time waster in the card, which there wasn't much.
So, in other words, it was just the one that had the least amount of impact
Yeah,
on the overall show.
correct.
Not that it didn't contribute any, it's just that it was the smallest.
Yeah, it was the most painfully obvious what was going to happen.
Speaking of painfully obvious what's going to happen, the Apex Predator versus the Ring General.
Okay, so
King of the Ring final, Gunther versus Randy Orton.
and they had some wonderful spots in the match. The match was well done, well fought. Uh, Ended very, very controversially. It
Before we get to the ending, I do want to say, um, I saw where Randy hit Gunther with the RKO,
yes,
and then as he went to go pin him, Gunther rolled away,
correct.
which showed that the Ring General has that in ring,
Prowess.
the vision, the instinct, whatever.
And
That
they played that out the whole match. Every time something happened in Orton's favor, he would do something that would negate it, like getting out of the ring or getting under the ropes or scooting away, something along those lines. And they made a real point uh, of pointing it out. Like the commentary was constantly saying exactly that. His in ring
his
instinct
in
is
ring IQ.
yeah,
That's what they usually refer to it as.
yeah,
But
and
I thought that was really good because it shows a veteran mindset for a guy who in the WWE at least is,
fairly new.
yeah, he's very green compared to Randy Orton.
Right.
But it shows that he was able to go toe to toe with him, that he was able to be like, okay, I have seen him. I know how he operates. If I get hit with this, I should do this.
Right, exactly. And they played that out wonderfully. The match was fantastic. The ending of the match left something to be desired, and it was right after that RKO. He moves out of the way, and then he rolls Randy up. Now, when he rolls him up, Randy's left shoulder was never on the ring. I mean, there was a gap so big a truck could drive through it between his shoulder and the ring itself.
I mean, if it's a Hot Wheel or a Tonka.
It yeah, it was easily a Tonka. Uh,
Tama?
no,
Loa.
not Haku either.
Ah, Solo.
Yes, you could have rolled Solo under there easily. Anyways, so the biggest thing I have a problem with is the referee was looking directly at it. Like you know she saw it and still did the count. At no point was his shoulder on the ground, not even when she started the first, the one count. It was never touching the
So, do
mat.
you think that was like, she was not in the right spot and just tried to ignore it? Or do you think that it was, storyline that, they wanted it to be obvious so that they could set up a sequel?
I so I have a couple of theories on this.
Austin?
H. Well, no, not him. No, Triple H came out this yesterday or today and did an interview, and he basically said that I don't think Gunther would want this to be the way that he earns it. I think he would want to solidify
Get
that.
rid of that asterisk.
Yeah, get rid of the asterisk behind the King of the Ring, and I think he would absolutely take the match. I think it is going to set up another match. I don't know if it's going to be for the kingship again or not, but I think that I don't know if it was on purpose or if it was a botch. But either way, I think it's going to set up another match between Randy and Gunther, the Ring General.
No. The King General.
Yeah, the King General. I think it is going to set up another match between the two of them. And I think they're going to have another banger match. And probably what's going to happen is Gunther is going to walk away with it. He'll win clean this time. And I think they're really, really trying to push Gunther to the main event status, and I think the only way they can do that is King of the Ring with a world title shot, which that happened, after we talked about it on our last podcast.
Literally the podcast that we recorded
That
right
same
before.
week, he announced, "Hey, guess what?
In fact, I didn't even. I saw your text saying, "Did I call it?" And I'm like, like, what the hell did you call? And then, like, I opened the message and it's like, oh, well, I'll be damned.
So yeah, I predicted that before it happened, and now he has a world title shot at SummerSlam. I would not be at all surprised to see in the next few months. So it was confirmed that Drew McIntyre is cleared to wrestle at Clash at the Castle. That was announced at the King and Queen of the Ring event, and I here's kind of what I see happening. I see McIntyre taking the title from Priest, and then immediately at SummerSlam, he's going to drop it to Gunther. Because I firmly believe that Gunther needs the title to be the person that WWE wants him to be. I think he needs to establish himself as a champion. He did with the Intercontinental 666 days, and all that. He's won the King of the
Man,
Ring.
that's a devilishly good reign.
Right? I was thinking the same thing in a demonic kind of way. But
What an undertaking.
I feel like if they don't put the title on him, he's going to lose relevance. I think he's going to lose relevance as the dominant force that they have made him out to be. And I think he will be another Shinsuke where he disappears into the mid card for a long time.
I mean, I don't know if he can necessarily do that because he has beaten far more guys than Shinsuke has in a dominant manner. However, I do agree with you that he might end up, if he doesn't win it here, it's going to be a while before he gets another shot,
Right.
if it's ever. The only way I could see it is, if he fails at SummerSlam, ends up winning the 2025 Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and I don't know that I see that happening. Like I really don't.
I mean, if they have him lose the title, but have it be, Vici comes back and costs it, or Kaiser turns his back and costs it, so that he doesn't lose clean, then I feel like he can be just relevant enough, that he has that weight, sort of like Drew McIntyre.
Blaming CM Punk.
Well, not necessarily that, but just his how often did he win the world title? He carried it through the COVID, you know. But like during his thing with Seth Rollins, it was, hey, I should be the champion, yada yada yada. He's like, you had your chance.
Right.
But he was always just relevant enough. Then at Mania, boop, and then um
By the way,
see what happened was he was like, hey Punk, looky here, bitch. And then Punk's like, oh, okay, look at this. And then, Priest and Briefcase and, you know,
yeah, the rest is history. So I just feel like with Gunther, if he doesn't win the title, yeah, I agree. If someone were to interfere and cause the loss, that might keep him just relevant enough. But if he just outright loses it, he's going to disappear. He's not going to be the same guy that they have created through his intercontinental reign.
see, because you have, I mean, that thought, and that is a very logical thought, and it could very well be the case. My thinking is Clash at Castle, McIntyre wins his title back. Damian Priest ends up basically being a traditional,
Transitional.
that thing, champion. And, he ends up dealing with the whole, live,
Live Dom crash of the
yeah,
Judgment Day and Rhea.
live getting dirty with Dom. Um, and then the Judgment Day becomes Finn.
Elfine.
Um, but then Drew McIntyre wins the title, takes it to SummerSlam against Gunther, right? In this scenario that you have,
Mm-hmm.
if Gunther wins, McIntyre loses the title. The original plan for WrestleMania was Punk for the title. So, if McIntyre has the title when Punk comes back, Punk goes after the title, which was the whole plan for WrestleMania to begin with. And this rivalry that they set up between Punk and McIntyre is now even more on the line, because now it's not just them not liking each other and, constantly taking shots at each other and wanting to beat the shit out of each other, but now it's for the title too. So if they had Gunther lose, he could be a good rivalry for McIntyre to hold until Punk. And then when Punk comes back, all of the plans that you had in place are now coming full circle. And then you have Gunther win the Royal Rumble and then go challenge for the other title.
Here's how I feel about that, though. I think at this point, the McIntyre Punk thing doesn't need a title.
Doesn't need it. But
yes, it does add something to it, but I think with Mania, they want to have matches that don't need titles to for filler, and then have title matches that mean,
That have title matches that need title matches.
yeah.
It's kind of hard to have a title match without a title match.
Well, I mean, between people who need that title run or people that need that push.
But like I said, like the plan was Punk at Mania for title. Then Punk go and get hurt right off the bat. Lickety doo. Wee! It's like AEW all over again. And then you set up this rivalry between them for when he comes back. Okay, cool. But now you have McIntyre in the title picture, which, in my opinion, should have been the case from the beginning. And then you have Punk, who was in the title picture, and then McIntyre was only in the title picture because Punk couldn't be in the title picture, and all the Cody crybabies were like, no, you give him back to Roman. It literally, all of their plans went to shit. And then Mania, they had Punk win. Punk was like, yeah, look, I got what you... No. McIntyre was like, yeah, look, I won what you wanted, and Punk cost him. Okay, that rivalry's beast. But I have no doubt in my mind that McIntyre versus Punk was supposed to be for the World Heavyweight Championship after Punk won it from Seth Rollins.
I'm sure.
So they would literally just be reversing the challenger champion dynamic.
Right. I feel like
so they could do the plan that they had pre-Mania leading up to, like, say, next Mania or whenever Punk comes back. If Punk comes back.
Oh, he'll come back. I mean, there's a story to be told.
And he's doing a great job telling that story from the announce table.
Actually, yeah, he kind of is. And McIntyre's doing a great job of it on social media.
No, those guys both have been... They're working really well together.
Yeah, they're A+.
And it's still rumored that their heat is real. But I've heard that this whole thing has been a work. In fact, if you really look at when Punk came back at Survivor Series, they're like, oh, McIntyre was storming off, yada, yada, yada. But he left before Punk's music ever hit.
Yeah.
Sure, well, he left the arena when Punk's music hit. Okay, you can say that. But he was, like, mushed out of the arena. Like, you, go, now, get. So, they could have been planning this from the beginning of, oh, hey, we got Punk back.
They could have. But I don't know. I get this feeling that because it doesn't need the title on the line, much like the new Bloodline versus the old Bloodline, which is also rumored to be Mania, or even SummerSlam, I don't think they need a title in that, and they can use those title belts for a different purpose.
I don't think it would be SummerSlam because that wouldn't make sense.
Well, Reigns is scheduled to be back for SummerSlam.
Yes, but like, hey, new versus old. Roman probably won't have time to come back and quote unquote regroup the old bloodline to take on Solo and the Chimichanga brothers.
Well, he could come back not as a wrestler, but he could just show up on one of the shows for a quick promo, get beaten down by the new bloodline, and then, lo and behold, Jimmy shows up to save the day, and then Jay comes in, and there you get your reuniting.
Or either that, or Roman shows up, they start attacking him, or even Jimmy comes back and starts, like, trying to get retribution for the assault. And then Roman comes in to try and save Jimmy, or maybe not to save Jimmy, but to, be like, hey, I'm back. You had no right to remove him. I said you were in charge, yes, but
I'm the tribal chief.
No one's out of the bloodline unless I say. So then they attack Roman, and then
Out comes Jay.
Or if that happens on, like, say, not the SmackDown right before, but like the week and day before on Raw, backstage segment, Roman and Jimmy go up to Jay, say, "Hey, you know what? Now we know how you felt. Blah 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 blah. Blah. Your little brother's being a little bitch. Um,
Let's
could,
go show him what the bloodline is really all about.
you know,
Now, there is
let's go."
another.
And then your little promo idea sets everything up pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they need to go to Jay. At this point, if he immediately is somehow magically on SmackDown and goes to save him, all of that work on getting Jay his own little thing is just.
It is, but the rumor is that they're going to bring the Usos back together anyways. So I feel like that's the way to do it, and have him be the surprise.
No.
Yeah, have him be the surprise person that comes out to save the day.
Oh my God.
Or
They could make the Usos the new Team Hell No. Yeet, no yeet. Yeet, no yeet. Yeet, no yeet.
Or there is another possibility that I have heard coming in for SummerSlam. Another rumor out there.
Junior Fatu?
I've also heard about him.
Because he's been rumored since
Jacob
Fatu, not Junior. But he was rumored far before either
Tama Tonga or Tongaloa.
Yeah. The Chimichangas.
And I've heard he is supposed to be showing up very, very soon. And we don't know if that's going to be to even the lines or to join the new bloodline. The fear is that he's going to outshine the others. But another possibility that I've kicked around, and I know I've heard a few other people kick around, is that Brock Lesnar comes back and runs the old bloodline at first. And you tie that in by Paul Heyman.
I also heard a rumor that Paul Heyman's going to be replaced as the Wise Man by Rikishi.
You know what? I've heard Rikishi's name thrown around a few times as coming back. I could see that.
And I honestly, I think he's kind of. They keep saying he's making like comments and stuff on social media. And in like he'll do a picture of a finger up, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's just him having fun with the storyline and drumming up not support excitement,
or
because I mean those are his kids,
or if it's a lead up.
Yeah. And Roman may not be one of his kids, but it's still his family, and Roman and Jimmy and Jay are like three brothers, like,
right?
They grew up together, they did like everything together, so it they're very, very close-knit family, and he may be doing it just because it's like, if he does that, it's just that little extra bit of help to boost his sons and his nephews
rivalry.
Well, their storyline.
So hear me out on this. So if this is not just about that, if this is actually a build up to something, so the new bloodline comes out and excommunicates
New blood,
and they excommunicate Paul Heyman as the Wise Man. Rikishi's there, and they start beating him down. Brock Lesnar's music hits.
Then no. Rikishi comes out, right? And then Otis comes out, and then they start
So
Like
Lesnar's music
Dan.
hits. He runs down, cleans house.
I'm gonna stop you right there. Lesnar run.
Okay, maybe he doesn't run. Maybe he saunters. Maybe he sachets. Whatever it is that he does, walk down, whatever. But he comes down to the ring. He cleans house, and and then Jimmy and Jay, through Paul Heyman, who has now been saved by Brock Lesnar, get behind Lesnar, right? And then at SummerSlam or whatever later on down the road, whenever Roman Reigns comes back and kind of evens the odds. Let's say Jacob Fatu joins the new bloodline, and that gives them 4 versus the 3 of Brock Lesnar and the Usos. Roman Reigns comes back, there's 4. Now you got 4 on 4, which could also very well set up a Survivor Series match. But I digress on that. I'm not going to go that far.
I'm gonna stop you anyway. I think there's somebody else that should come to Paul Heyman's rescue.
Who's that?
R-Truth. He comes to save the big man, Paul Heyman. But he ends up joining the new bloodline because his big thing was joining all the groups. He was part of Judgment Day.
No, he wasn't.
He tagged with DX. And then the COO, Tommaso Ciampa, presented him with the World Tag Team Championships. It would work with his gimmick. And you could go back. Lesnar comes out, and he can tell him to send everyone to Sioux Falls City.
And then undeclare for the Royal Rumble.
Or undeclare for the Bloodline.
Ooh, that'd be funny.
And he undeclares because he realizes that they're not actually related.
But neither is he. I don't think he could be part of the bloodline.
No, that's the point.
He could try.
He would say, I realized y'all, my bad. I thought we were related. No, that's on me. I mean, it fits Truth's character, period. Like, the guy can make anything funny.
You're absolutely correct. I want him to have a world title run so bad I can't stand it.
I have an idea on that. He gets the Money in the Bank briefcase, right?
Okay.
Genius that Truth is. Gets the briefcase painted so that it looks like the defunct 24/7 championship. And then what happens is everyone's like, oh my God, we brought that to the 24 title back. And they start chasing him again. So he starts running and hiding during, whatever title he ends up getting. He's running to the ring, being chased by people, accidentally throws the briefcase to the referee. They start the match. Truth's like, oh, I guess I got tagged in. Accidentally pins the world champion, has no idea what's going on, grabs the title, and starts running away from people again instead of celebrating.
Well, I think he would have to have at least one small celebration. He would have to jump up and say, I got my baby back.
Wait, when was he eating ribs? When did he go to Chili's?
Apparently, every time he won the 24/7 title.
And he looks at it and is like, isn't this the women's title? Oh my God, that would be perfect. He gets the Money in the Bank briefcase and tries to cash it in on like Liv Morgan.
I think that'd be fantastic.
Wait, you mean I can't get this?
And I'll be honest, I don't care if he loses it.
My bad.
I don't care if he loses it the next week on a rematch clause or whatever.
God, that would be the most memorable shit ever. Hey, do you remember that one time that R-Truth accidentally won the world title? Do you remember that one time when R-Truth accidentally entered the Women's Royal Rumble? I
That
do.
that would so
And
solidify.
I literally, sitting right here, I thought, okay, the briefcase is already green. Add the penny looking 24/7 logo. He's running down because people are chasing him. And, like he like trips or something and
He
just,
trips on the way in the ring. He
yeah.
trips on the ropes.
And then he chucks the briefcase. The referee catches it.
No. It hits the world champion, knocking him out. And the referee picks it up, rings the bell, Truth pins.
And the whole time he has Miz like trying to tell him, you have the money in the bank briefcase, cash it in. Oh, that's my 24/7, 4711, 9372.
I-95 South.
Well, it would have to be different this time. But you could just make that like the most comical thing. Have like like WrestleMania. Have a transitional champion. Glad I was able to say it correctly that time.
Me too.
Like somebody was like, oh, I never thought I'd win this. Then R-Truth comes in and ends up, winning it from them when they're like, oh my God, so great. And then you have two people that you never thought were going to win this title, win it in one night, so that Truth can like lose it 2 days later on Raw.
I think it'd be a wonderful thing.
Okay.
So
we kind of went off on a tangent there.
So getting back, yeah, but we got off on a tangent because that Bloodline storyline has been the best thing in years.
There have been times where it's gotten stale,
There
but they've been able to turn it around and bring it back to the island of relevancy.
Yes, every single time. So, anyways, getting back to King of the Ring, we have not even touched on the main event yet.
Which, the guy who ended the title reign of the Tribal Chief, Cody Rhodes, defending his WWE Championship versus Logan Paul.
The current U.S. champion.
Fantastic athleticism.
And I'm going to say this was by far Logan Paul's best match, like so far in his history.
Well, of course it's by far. This was in Saudi Arabia.
This was literally a very, very well done match. He outdid himself. The whole build up had him, giving the brass knucks to Michael Cole and saying, I don't need him. I don't want to use him for anything. And then a couple of days later on SmackDown, he comes into the ring to cut a promo, and Cody calls him out on it. He's like, I wouldn't be surprised if you had a pair on you right now. So why don't we have our referee over here, do a standard pat down? And Paul kind of hesitates on it, and then he's like, you know what, fine, whatever. But maybe he should do you first. I don't know what you're all about. I don't know that you aren't going to cheat. So he pats down Cody. Nothing. He's like, you sure you don't want to check him again? And then he goes to pat down Paul and finds another set of chucks in his pants.
Chucks?
Or not chucks.
You mean knucks?
Yeah, knucks. Finds another pair of knucks in his pants. And immediately Logan Paul's like, I don't know how those got. These aren't even my pants. These are my brother's pants. And immediately I'm thinking, why is it you're in your brother's pants that you found underneath your bed?
Not only that, but is he insinuating that Jake Paul needs brass knuckles to fight Mike Tyson?
I'm sure he does. At any rate, so getting back to the match had several wonderful spots. Cody dropped Paul on the announce table 3 times in a row. Then Logan Paul got Cody on the other announce table,
the Saudi one.
Yeah, the Saudi.
And I saw him do his frog splash and
got his little prime drink from his entourage. Then went up to the top of the rope, took a drink, and frog splashed him. That was a huge hit. And then went back to his entourage and got a pair of brass knucks from him. He immediately used it on Cody, hit him in the stomach with it, got back in the ring, and then they had a special guest ring announcer, Ibrahim. I forget what his last name was, but Paul has the knucks on, and he's ready to crack Cody upside the head, and Ibrahim pulls him out of the ring, or halfway out of the ring. He stopped himself at the ropes, and he's screaming at the dude like, "Who are you? Who the hell are you?" And he gets up, turns around, goes to hit Cody, and Cody grabs his fist with the brass knucks on it, and Cody says, the microphone's barely picked it up, but he says, "I'm Cody Rhodes, bitch." And then he drops the Trinity on him and pins him. I mean, it was a wonderfully done match. By far, Logan's best performance to date, and it was everything it was built up to be. I mean, Paul's athleticism is obvious, painfully obvious. I still don't like the guy. I think he's a low life because I've seen some of his YouTube stuff, and yeah, I just don't like him. But I think he's done everything right as a heel, and his talent is unquestionable.
That thing with him and Ricochet at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't forget that if I tried, because it was just so freaking awesome.
It was amazing. I've never seen anything like that.
Oh man, I saw the highlights of that, and I'm like, huh, yep, that's kind of what I expected from them.
Absolutely. From those two, I would love to see a title match between those two.
Now, the way I just like described it, I feel like I'm underselling, but like as I'm watching it, I'm just in awe of what I'm seeing. It looks like Cody even hit him with like a vertebraker.
Yes, he did.
Um,
Matter of fact, Paul hit Cody with Crossroads during the match.
What a Logan Paul move,
right?
Right?
But yeah, I mean,
he's gonna get a call in the morning.
Should we explain that?
Might as well.
So we were sitting here in my basement playing. We were watching WWE videos, and we were trying to watch one of the events. Or no, it was one of the biography things.
Yeah. But it was like freezing up, and
every time we hit play, it went back to Beth Phoenix.
And it was a trailer for something, and she goes, and I got a call the next morning. And it kept going to, I got a call the next morning. I got a call the next morning. I got a call the next morning.
It must have happened like 10 times.
Yeah. So, we're just sitting there like, oh yeah, you're going to get a call the next morning. And then that just sort of became a thing. Then when Logan Paul, came into WWE, and he did the Three Amigos, the Frog Splash, the
little shoulder.
He was doing all the moves that we've hey, that was so and so's move. That was so it became to, if you do someone else's anything, it's a Logan Paul move.
Yeah, such a Logan Paul move.
And
call the next morning.
And on WWE 2K, we'll be doing a Royal Rumble, and it almost never fails. Someone will come into the ring and start taunting.
And we're taunting.
So if you're listening and you hear us say any of those things, you've been told why.
Yeah, it's a thing here. I think it should be a thing everywhere.
Well, it's not even just a thing here. Like, we text that.
Yeah, we text that.
Like, I sent you a picture of Prime in the store, and I'm just like, man, this is such a Logan Paul move.
It's filtered into our everyday life.
So it was a prime example right there. I didn't want to keep it bottled up.
So yeah, King of the Ring, it was a really, really good show, really well done. The crowd was insane, just like France. In some cases, even better.
Well, and even Australia. Like these, I think because the WWE goes overseas so seldom for live of at least televised live events,
PLEs.
that crowd is more appreciative. And I'm not saying like, people who go to the PLEs in the US aren't appreciative that they get to be there.
They've just gotten used to it, and it's
You know, you're used to WWE coming to your town.
yeah.
Like, here, I have a guy that I work with who tells me every single time that they're going to be coming to town. So I know months in advance. He's like, "Oh, I bought tickets to Raw."
Yeah, I'm a little jealous that
I,
Cleveland got SummerSlam this year.
I didn't even know they were coming. Cool. I and I'm not complaining. I love when he tells me that, hey, yeah, they're going to be here this day, because it's like, oh, that's super cool. But yeah, I really feel that the overseas crowds appreciate being able to be there more than us because they don't get to as often.
Yeah, and I think that it's understandable that those crowds put us to shame because of that very fact. They were singing Orton's theme song as loud as France was. When Cody's music hit, oh my God, the place erupted.
See, I love that. I love that, you can watch and feel the excitement through the TV
Oh my God.
and be like, I can feel that they are excited as I am.
And no matter where you are in the world, it transcends everything. It transcends religious background. It transcends politics. It transcends everything.
Yeah.
So I don't want to. I don't want to become a Metzger and start giving star ratings or anything like that. But
Well, I really agree with, someone asked John Cena about that, about how he feels about never having a 5-star match. And he said, while he appreciates, him giving the rating system, he feels that the rating system doesn't apply to everybody.
no, it
Like
really
his main goal was the live audience. Like he wanted to make sure that they went home happy.
yeah.
There are people who that rate, and he said the rating system, is a good thing because it gives people kind of something to base. But it is also his opinion. It's not, you know, it's not like he takes a huge poll of, you know, I asked 5 million people and they said that it was a 4-star match.
No, it's just his personal opinion on it.
But I really enjoyed that he acknowledged the importance of it while also saying, hey, that's not everything.
No, it's really not. And I don't want to get into all that, but what I will say about King and Queen of the Ring this year, it was worth a watch. And if you get the opportunity on Peacock or whatever platform you're on, it's worth watching. It was fun. It was enjoyable. It was exciting. Not everything turned out the way I wanted it to, but what show has? I didn't want Nia to win Queen. Oh well. I
Wait, Charlotte was on the line?
no, she wasn't. But that would have been funny.
Yay, I won Charlotte. Wait, what?
See her reaction. What you want to? What now?
You won the Queen City. She won the Queen Cities. What?
That'd be an R-Truth thing.
Oh, that was my thinking on that. I was like trying to be the R-Truth character.
But that's kind of my.
I can't. I'm not as funny as he is.
That's kind of my and our view on the King of the Ring PLE this week. We'd love to know what you think. Make sure you drop us a comment or something. You want to close us out?
I just got put on the spot real hard.
Well,
I,
it's
I didn't. I need to go back to Gorilla. I don't remember my lines.
it's one of those things that when you become a super mega star of like 2 listeners, you have to get used to being put on the spot.
Oh man, you're like throwing me into like. Yep. Oh, I got nothing. I was trying to think of someone that's like unpopular, but they're obviously so unpopular that I don't know who they are. So they're actually too unpopular for me.
And we're not unpopular enough.
We have a fan.
Yeah, that's true. We do have one.
Yeah.
At any rate, thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you do, tell someone about us.
You
Or
know,
you can find us on all of our other platforms. We also have in addition to our podcast here, we have a YouTube channel. We have other programs that we are part of.
starting to talk like me. I think you've been hanging around me too long.
I agree. We are part of Geekosity Podcast, where we podcast geeky type of games. I have a martial arts weapons tricking channel called Super State Tutorials. We have gaming channels. We have pretty much everything. If there's a topic you're interested in, we probably have something for it.
You know, we're trying to just sort of share our loves for different things with people who share that interest. So obviously not everybody who's going to be a wrestling fan is going to be a fan of video games or board games or whatever. Not everybody's going to like everything, but we try to make something available for the majority of people.
At least along the lines of the things that we enjoy doing.
And see, the thing is, like, we don't even really want to be, like famous podcasters or anything. We just want to share with people, and we hope that we can make someone laugh or smile or be like, hey, me too.
Yeah, we feel like we have something to give to the world, and if it has to do with wrestling, that's great. If it has to do with our love for board games, card games, all the geeky stuff, that's great. If it has to do with video games, that's great.
If it has to do with people looking at us on YouTube, seeing our faces and laughing, so be it.
Yeah, and then we also do Sarcasm Network, which can be found on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. We do videos about our stupid opinions to the stupid laws on the internet. And those are so much fun. Highly recommend them if you get a chance to check those out. But thank you all for being here. We really, really appreciate anybody that has listened to this. Like I said, if you enjoyed it, drop us a like or, drop down into the comments and let us know what you like or what you'd like to hear about.
And yeah, any potential topics for the future. I mean, we're just, it's one of those things where, we've got plenty of things to talk about, but it's what we think people might be interested in listening to. So if you'd like to hear a certain type of topic, please let us know so we can have an idea of what to do next. And also, sorry for taking so long on this one. We kind of got way into it, which is kind of funny because, I originally said, I don't know if we can do a whole podcast based only on the results of this one PLE, but here we are, like almost an hour and a half. So
yeah, and this is just kind of how our brains work. We get off on tangents.
I have one of those.
Well, we share one.
Oh, okay.
We share the one brain cell between us.
Okay. I always felt like I was half of something.
On that note, take care, y'all.